All right, guys, here we are, obviously in the semi-trailer. Where else would we be, right? And as you can see, it is nearly gutted. In fact, in our last video, I said we were like 99% of the way gutted, right? I mean, there's a few little things. We've got to get the welded on trays up there for where the winch and the batteries were and get all that cleaned out. Of course, we got the door to change out, but in terms of in here, we're down to the studs. But then I got to thinking, you know, one thing that we haven't explored yet, we've pretty much, you know, uncovered everything we're gonna find on this trailer. Of course, I keep saying that and then we keep finding stuff. But one thing that we haven't done yet is pull up this floor. Now you might remember a couple months ago, we did pull up that one panel just to see if there were any tire marks on the wood underneath. I didn't see any, but some of you guys say you saw a tire track. Is it from KITT? Maybe, right? I mean, early on in the series, and I'm talking early on, like the pilot and Inside Out, which was the first episode produced after the pilot, when, especially Inside Out, when you see KITT come up into the semi-trailer, there's no diamond plate on the floor. There's just the actual factory Dorsey wood floor in that scene. Shortly after that, though, they changed that and put the diamond plate in. So KITT did drive on the wood floors at some point. But you know, I figured let's pull up these panels and see if there's anything remotely interesting underneath. I don't know, maybe Hasselhoff signed the wood floor, or I don't know, Devin left a necktie under there. Who knows, right? It's the only way we're gonna find out is if we pull these panels up. So, but before I do that, I'd be remiss if I didn't wish happy birthday to one of our very special viewers and Patreon supporters. A little birdie told me that Miss Linda Webb has a birthday this week. So I had a chance to meet Linda and her husband Joe at RetroCon back at the end of September. Awesome people. We got along great. It was really cool to meet them in person. And I heard that Linda's birthday is this week. So I wanted to wish you, Linda, a very happy birthday. In fact, I want you to have like the happiest birthday in the history of humanity. All right, so can you make that happen? Thanks. All right, so with that, I don't think there's anything else left to do except pull these panels up. I did go ahead off camera and I pulled up all the screws. I got all the rivets out, so the panels should all be loose, but I have yet to lift them to see if there's anything under here. I figured you guys probably didn't want to see me, you know, pulling screws out, and a couple of them I had to grind off because the heads were gone, and I figured you don't need that in your life, right? No. All right. Let's go. Do you want to help with the Semi's restoration? Donate now to the Semi Restoration GoFundMe initiative or buy one of our awesome Semi Restoration Team shirts. Links are in the video description below. All right, so we'll start down here. I think I'm gonna pull the panels up and then we'll bring you in for kind of a closer look. And by the way, the reason I don't have the door open is because once again, the weather has went from like 75 degrees Fahrenheit for you outside of the US folks to I think today's like 33 degrees. So it's really cold out. So, I mean, it's cold in here also because, you know, I removed all the insulation. You don't need insulation. But it's still, if I put the door down, we're gonna get cross breezes in here, and just, I don't need that. I don't. All right, so we'll lift this first panel up, And then once we get them up, we'll bring you in. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, panel 1 is up. Let's go ahead and pull this panel up too. Those panels, I mean, they're aluminum, but they're heavier than you'd think. So what do we see? Well, it's definitely the original wood floor. And actually, I do see something very interesting. All right, but I'm gonna make you wait. I just found something that I can definitely tie back to the show. That's cool. All right, let's do these panels right below us. Get my lights out of the way here. All right. So next panel. And the final panel. You know, one thing I immediately noticed is the smell of the wood. As soon as I lifted those panels up, you get this overwhelming smell of old wood, 45-year-old old wood. It's not a bad smell. All right, so let's bring you in a little closer and I'll show you what I found. I think you're gonna find this really interesting. So first, again, because we're in the dark here, let's bring some light back. Now let's bring you guys in. All right, so what do we see back here? Remember I told you I saw something definitely related to the show? Well, let me show you what that something was. I don't know how well you can see it. Actually, it looks like it comes through in the camera a little bit better than it does in the in real life. But do you see, there's a line right here, and there's a line right there. You can see it better right here. See that line? And you see that line going across there. It's kind of faint, and there's one more right up there. And notice how these aluminum panels were laid lengthwise with the trailer. They're kind of parallel to the trailer. These are perpendicular lines. What do you guys think that is? I'll tell you what that is. Those are the markings from the diamond plate that was on the floor when the show was filming. That's exactly what we're looking at there. And you know, let's take a tape measure here, and we will in a minute, and see if these should be like 48 inches. That's the standard width. About 48 inches between these lines. So I'll be real curious to see if those are in fact 48 inches. But before we do that, let's examine all of the various defects and holes in the floor and see if any of them maybe are from the show. I don't know. All right, so back here we've got, let's see here. If we compare them to the aluminum floor, we got one hole there which matched to that one. That was a tie down for one of the race cars. That hole, there is no corresponding one on the aluminum, but that almost looks like that was a tie down as well. So maybe that's after the show, but before these panels were on, that's my guess. This is interesting. We've got these, what are these called? These are those nuts that have like 4 spikes in them so you can nail them into wood. There's 2 of them there. I have no idea what those would be for, although ironically, those are right above where the winch was mounted for the ramp extensions that came out of the edge of the ramp. There was a winch mounted directly underneath that very area. So we'll have to get underneath the trailer and take a look and see if those maybe are related to the winch that was there. That's kind of cool. We got a couple more openings here. The one matches up with that aluminum panel. Those two do, that one doesn't, but that looks like another tie down. We've got this interesting square here cut out in the floor, which is not on the aluminum panels, I don't think. No, actually, look, you can see the mark of where it was on the panel, but it wasn't cut out. So that's either from the Knight Rider days or from whenever this floor was put in. Interesting. So what do we see back here? Another tie down is that one, but then we've got, looks like maybe there was another tie down there. Same with over here. There's only a hole for the one. And then we move back here. So this is interesting. You see those four, I don't know what you'd call them. They're threaded. They look like they're threaded. I don't know if we can see if we get up close, but there are threads in there, as if something was bolted down right there. So the question is, what would have been bolted right there? Now there are holes cut out in the aluminum, as you can see, for those, whatever you want to call them, the receivers, I guess. But I think, the winch was mounted way back there according to our contacts. I mean, it almost looks like there could have been a winch mounted right there, doesn't it? The problem is, look where those 3 bolts are in the ceiling, the 3 bolts we've talked about so many times. I don't think it would make sense to put them there. Plus, you figure you got a Trans Am coming in here, coming in hot. That's going to be too close for anything to be mounted, I think. It's really interesting, though. Might have to ask our contact, the guy that we talked to that worked in special effects, see if he knows anything about those. Other than that, that hole and those 4 holes were from something that was mounted later. That's not related to the show. All right, so I'm not sure. There's all kinds of interesting things on this floor. I think most of these holes were after Knight Rider, which of course now we're gonna have to plug all the holes, I guess, which will be fun. But let's go ahead, just out of curiosity, let's get a measuring tape and measure the distance between all of these various markings in the floor. See if they're about 48 inches. All right, so let's start with this one. So there's a pretty clear mark right here. And where's 40? Yep, 48 inches right where this mark is, right on that mark. Well, that's promising. How about this one? Let's see, that mark, there's a mark here, but then there's another mark right here. So I bet you it's this other one. 48 inches right there. Okay. And just for good measure, no pun intended, let's do this next one here, which is this mark to 48 inches. Awesome. 48 inches. And then, of course, this last one. Now, we know that whenever this ramp was added, the whole back end of this floor was cut away. Originally, the wood floor would have extended all the way out to here. All right, so that line to this edge, I'm expecting to be 48 inches. So let's see. It's 48 inches on the dot. So, without a doubt, these are the lines for where the diamond plate was. Which is pretty awesome, isn't it? I mean, to be able to see the markings of where those plates were. And, it does help us in a way with scaling things because, on the show they had the panels on the walls, right? But if you look at the diamond plate, which now we know for 100% was 48 inches wide. If you look at the diamond plate and you look at the wall, you can see the wall was longer. In fact, I think the wall panels were 5 feet, diamond plate was 4 feet. And that would make sense because there were 4 panels on each side, that's 20 feet. And I bet you there were 5 diamond plate, which would make 20 feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's it. Hey guys, we're gonna take a break from working on the trailer for just a minute to answer some Patreon flag agent questions and give a few shout outs. We're here in our secret foundation office. Sure. And I thought, well, let's just kind of go over some questions and, you know, sure. All right. So for those of you who are familiar, what are Patreon flag agents? All right, so we have a Patreon community where you guys, our fans and supporters, can join this community and you get early access to all our videos. You get behind the scenes photos that no one ever sees, even the few behind the scenes videos no one sees, things like that. So it's actually a really cool thing we've got going. And your support as a Patreon member helps us to do things like track down the flag semi and do restorations and all that stuff. So there's a number of different tier levels in our Patreon community. The top tier are our flag agents. And as a flag agent, you get not only a shout out in our video when you join, but we'll answer your Knight Rider related questions as best as we can. So let's go ahead and go through our new flag agents. First, we have Dwayne D-Man Martin. So Dwayne, is it Dwayne? Dwayne. One of the two. I'll just call you D-Man. Thanks so much for your support. We greatly appreciate it. We also have Wolfgang Tomasek. Tomasek. Yes. Sorry if I butcher your names. Wolfgang, thank you so much for your support. And finally, Michael Bruno. I'm pretty sure I got that one right. So, Michael, we're glad you're here. All right, so we have a few questions from our flag agents. So here we go. From Matthew Kochi. When did they stop using the rubber shell? I don't see it very often anymore. What made this decision? So really, the rubber shell was used pretty much through the end of the series. I know in Hills of Fire, which was one of the last few episodes produced, I know for a fact it was used in that one. It was probably used in some of the other episodes. At the top of my head, I'd have to research. But the rubber shell was used throughout the entire show. But I know what you mean. There was like a gap. Mainly they used it a lot in season 1, and they used it somewhat in season 2. Yeah, it seems like season 3 they didn't use the rubber shell as much. My only thought was at that point they had a lot of train wreck Trans Am, so maybe they just didn't care if they were bashing the cars around. I don't know, but they do use the rubber shell at least in season 4 towards the end. Do you know if there's anything in contracts about filming, about the cleanup of filming of locations? So what I mean, or what Matthew means, is obviously KITT leaves burnout marks, tire trails all over someone's property. Would they be mad? Did the studio have to clean that stuff off? Funny you said that. Yes, they did. And we asked Jack Gill this question a long time ago. And we have some production reports from the filming of Buyout. Do you remember the scene in Buyout where KITT's doing all of those 360s and figure 8s at the Armor Built parking lot? There's a note from the end of that day's filming that says, location owner complained of excessive skid marks. And Jack Gill told us at one point that they would even sometimes either have to clean the road or repave it even in some situations. So yes, I think they did. That was on their mind, and they did do what they could to fix things like that. That's a wonderful question. I love it. So Matthew also asked another question. Watching the shows and seeing the stock footage of the semi and KITT entering and exiting, you usually see the ramp start to raise up.
Any idea how it actually works? I see the main ramp and it looks like an extension piece that has 2 narrow ramps for KITT to make it come out to a big ramp. Curious how it folds up, or do they stop the filming and remove the extension? Yes and no. So on the ramp of the semi, the actual door that goes down, there are ramp extensions that come out of the edge of the door. And those legit were on a track, and they could go in and out of the door. They were never removed. But as we understand it, and we're really digging into all this stuff right now, right, with working on the semi. So as we understand it, the ramp extensions had their own separate winch. There was no control of the ramp extensions coming out. So what I mean is, if the door, let me see here. So the door, I can't, let's do it this way. If the door is opening, right, and it gets to that certain point, like this, gravity will make those ramp extensions fly out until they hit the stopper within the door. They won't fly all the way out, they'll stop. So whenever you see the show, you'll notice you never see the ramp fully closed to fully open in one shot. They usually cut, and that's usually they'll see it coming down and they'll cut, and the crew members will go in and they'll pull the ramps out, and then they'll cut to the ramps fully open. When the ramp's going up, there is a winch that was mounted under the trailer that was connected to the ramp extensions. So they had the ability to pull the ramp extensions back into the door itself. But the other thing you'll notice is sometimes, but not always, when the ramp's down and KITT's going in, you'll see little caster wheels right underneath the ramp extension. That was actually a bar with wheels on both sides that whenever they cut, they were putting the ramp down, they would have the crew members go in and insert that bar with those wheels. That was not part of the permanent mechanism. So anytime you see those wheels, they actually had to install those for KITT to go up, and then they had to pull them out before the ramp could close. So hopefully that makes sense. I think, obviously we're recreating all this, so at some point you're going to see exactly how it works in 2022, which will be exactly how it worked in 1985 and 4 and 3 and 6 and 2. So there you go. All right. Those are all the questions we have for this week. If you're interested in joining our Patreon community as a flag agent or any tier level, you can do either click on the link in the description below, or you'll see that there's a link in the corner of this video right now. All right, back at it.
So do you guys remember back in our last video regarding the semi-trailer, we talked about a unique opportunity for you to have your name immortalized on the semi wall. For a donation of $100, we were going to write your name on the skin of the trailer. All right. The response to that has been amazing, better than we thought, for sure. So we got together, we being AJ, Eric, and myself, and decided, well, this is turning into something a little bit bigger than what we initially thought. So we wanted to do something better than just writing your name with a Sharpie on the trailer. So I think what we're going to do instead is we're going to have an official plaque made with your name engraved, and then we're going to permanently adhere it to the trailer. Now, I don't know if I want to do this plaque in some place where it's very easy for us to show people it. I don't necessarily want to add it, because we're going to build the set in here, and we want the set to be 100% like it was back when the show aired. So we don't want a plaque on the wall. So we're either going to make it so this plaque, we'll have a door that can open and you can see it, or we'll maybe mount it inside the wall unit someplace, but wherever it's going to go, it's going to be permanent, and we're going to do it up so its names are engraved. Now, in lieu of that, because we don't want to obviously do that until we have like all of the names, right? And we still have donations coming in. So I'm going to do a symbolic writing of your names for these videos, and we're going to do it on this craft paper. I'm going to line the craft paper on this panel, and we'll do a symbolic writing of your names, and then we'll have some cutoff in the not too distant future where we'll stop taking donations, and then we're going to transfer all of the names that are on this craft paper to an official plaque. I think you guys will probably like that even better, and it's just more official, and it'll be nicer to have your names, you know, engraved as opposed to just my probably crooked and bad handwriting on the semi-wall itself. So let's go ahead and put our craft paper up, and then we'll do our first round of names. All right, so we've got a bunch of names. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna write them on here. We'll probably do a time lapse so you don't have to sit here watching me write them all, then we'll go through them. All right, so I've got my official blue Sharpie. We've got our somewhat official craft paper that we're gonna write on. So here we go. Okay, here's our first round of names, as you can see. Now, between the time I'm filming this and the time that you see this, there will no doubt be additional names. This is being filmed November 11th, 2022. So if you donated and it's after November 11th, 2022, you'll be on the next video. If you donated and you do not see your name here, reach out to us so we can research it. We had so many names coming in that it's very possible that we might have missed yours. Also, if your name is on this list and we have misspelled anything, or you want it displayed differently, please let us know. This is another advantage of us kind of doing this symbolic writing of it, is we get a chance to make sure every name is correct. All right, if you are interested in getting your name added first here and then to the final plaque that will be permanently mounted on the semi-wall, you can send your $100 PayPal donation to nightridersemi@gmail.com. nightridersemi@gmail.com. We'll get your name added and you will be a permanent part of the semi's future. Alrighty, so more discoveries have been made just when I thought there weren't any more discoveries to be made. So what I'm gonna do, these panels, I'm actually gonna put them back down on the floor because we've got a roof leak. Actually, we've got multiple roof leaks. Not like a major opening in the ceiling, but there's lots of little pinholes, and it rained like you wouldn't believe the other day. And it covered these aluminum panels in water. Not like standing water. I mean, it wasn't that much, but it was enough that I don't want it to get on the original wood floor. So until I have a chance to get up on the roof and seal that stuff, we're gonna leave those aluminum panels down. Fortunately, there doesn't appear to be any leaks in the upper end of the trailer where the wood floor is fully exposed. So that's good. It's really just kind of right back here. So we're gonna lay these back down. We'll also vacuum the floor and all that stuff. So. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give us a like, give us a subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Share this with all your friends. It's gonna be the best Christmas gift you could possibly give them. All right, guys, thanks so much. Catch you next time.